Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Redmond and Beyond, where we talk about all things that make Redmond a great place to live, work, and play. And I'm very excited because today I am here with Kelly Reefer, who is the Executive Director of Move Redmond, which is an organization that I found out about when I was wandering around some holiday events in downtown Redmond and saw her table set up and got to talk to her and learn a little bit more about this great organization. So Kelly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So tell everybody a little bit more about what Move Redmond is.
Yeah. Move Redmond is a nonprofit organization, and we work to promote safer streets, frequent, reliable, and affordable transportation options for folks. And we work with large employers in Redmond to help reduce the number of people who drive alone to work.
That's awesome. I know when I was spending a little time on your site, I was a little bit surprised. I know the data is a little old, but just that commuters have not really changed that much in terms of the way that they drive, whether it's individually in a car or biking or in a van pool. What do you think some of the reasons for that are?
Well, we're in a moment of a lot of transition, and Redmond is on the brink of a bunch of transportation changes. We're really shifting from being a pretty car-centric suburban area to being a community that's really investing in transit and walking and biking. And this year, we're about to see some of the biggest transportation changes coming to Redmond. Spring of 2024, we will see the opening of the light rail in Overlake Village and Redmond Technology Station, and that'll be connecting down to South Bellevue. And that's really just the beginning. In 2025, we'll be seeing the extension of light rail into downtown Redmond and by Marymore Village, all the way across I-90 into Seattle. So really creating that connected regional transportation system that we've been waiting on for a long time. And in addition to that, there's also a lot of investments in our trail system. So in Redmond, there's so much pride in the trails that we have here. That's a really critical part of the community. And the East Trail is a new trail that'll connect communities from south to Renton up through Bellevue into Kirkland and through the Redmond Central Connector connect into Redmond, and we'll go all the way up to Snohomish County. And so this is a very big project that will take many years, but it's a really critical connection that gets people around by walking and biking and also increases their access to transit. And we're seeing additional investment in buses that'll be coming in 2025 as we see some of the buses rearrange their service to better accommodate access to and from that light rail. And so as you know, we're in this transition phase, and so Move Redmond is here to really support people and give them the education and resources that they need to try different transportation options. And we also promote all kinds of things like van pools and a brand new community van program that the city just started, where folks can get together, get a community driver, and go have somebody else drive them out to a winery in Woodinville. There's a lot of options that are in the process of coming online, and our job is to help connect people to those resources and information.
Well, that's really great, and that's really interesting. So it's not just about commuter, but it also just about giving people other options other than just getting in your car on your own and going somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. And it's so funny. I was driving home from somewhere the other evening, and I passed a train parallel to 520, and I was like, oh my gosh.
They're starting the testing.
And they're doing the testing.
Yeah, right now.
So I thought that was really cool because I just didn't expect it, and it was really neat to see that. So that's very exciting. And so that is definitely a big part of what you do. Talk to me a little bit more about the advocacy. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, a core function of Move Redmond is support employers in reducing their drive alone rates. There's this Washington state law called commute to production. And so for 30 years, our organization was known as Greater Redmond Transportation Management Association. And we helped people reduce their drive alone rates. And we really realized that to make that a viable option for people, they need to have really good alternatives. It needs to be frequent and reliable to take the bus. It needs to be safe to walk and bike. And that's where the advocacy comes in. And so we do a lot of our advocacy focusing on both policy and funding for infrastructure projects that make it easier to get around. This can look like a lot of things. Last year, a big advocacy effort was working with community partners to get Sound Transit to open the starter line that's opening this spring, instead of waiting until it could cross I-90. And we said, hey, this service is ready, deliver it to people as soon as possible. They want the options as soon as they can get them. Our advocacy also looks like helping support funding for different trails and safer streets projects. So we write a lot of support letters to help bring in additional revenue to the city of Redmond and get those projects built. And then we also monitor a lot of the different legislation, both at federal, state, regional, and local, to ensure that the priorities of safe transportation and sustainable transportation are really coming through.
Right, that's really interesting, and I love that. And you also made me think of something which is about some of the classes that you offer. I saw online that you do things like bike classes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, how fantastic, because one of the most gut-wrenching things for me was teaching my son how to ride a bike.
Same.
You know, and so thinking, oh, you know, there's some place that he could go to learn that in a safe environment.
Yeah, and our classes can accommodate folks who are younger, who are children. We also have folks who are adults, and up till, I think our oldest participant last year was in their mid-60s.
Wow.
So, you know, people of all ages can join our subsidized bike classes, and that's part of our belief that your individual trip choices matter. They matter towards our sustainability, towards your own mental health and happiness, and it's a really great opportunity to get people the opportunity to learn how to bike. You know, we know that not everyone learned how to bike as a child, or a lot of folks maybe have a bike in their garage but don't feel particularly confident riding it. And so that's where our, you know, Biking 201 class, which we have some, the registration is actually open right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
For the 101, which is if you've never ridden a bike, or the 201 if you're just feeling not terribly confident about your bike handling skills. And these are both on-bike classes. So you practice on a bike, and if you don't have a bike, there can be a bike provided, and we subsidize them, so it's only $10 for people to participate.
That's great. That is a really great service. And you know, you mentioned something about kind of well-being and happiness, and I was just thinking how much, you know, obviously on days like today when it is kind of sunny and a lovely kind of midwinter day in the Redmond area, getting out and walking is so nice, and we have so many trails. And I think there's something really fun about walking on something like the Sammamish River Trail.
Absolutely.
And, you know, when you're kind of going behind some of the condominium communities and, you know, by downtown, but you're also in this really beautiful natural environment that I think, I know for me, gives me a lot of, you know, calm and peace. So that's great. And you guys have maps and things that you provide for people as well, don't you, if they need them?
Yeah, so we always have some really basic maps, like the Leafline Regional Trails map is a really fun one for planning different adventures. We have the East Side Transit map, which has all of the different bus routes on the whole East Side, not just Redmond. And then we're working on a new map for the light rail that's opening that we're calling our station access map.
Awesome.
And it will have the transit and biking access for all the 8 stations opening this spring, as well as kind of walking routes around each of the stations. And a lot of the walking routes we're ensuring are accessible for folks who use wheelchairs and mobility aids.
That's great. Mobility access is certainly something that's really important. And the more we have folks living in towns like Redmond, right, the more people want to be able to have that access. So that's really terrific. Awesome. So what other, well, I know one of the things that personally I want to know about is, how did you get to be the executive director of this organization?
Well, I've been doing work in transportation policy and advocacy for over 10 years. I started really with bike advocacy and worked at Cascade Bike Club for quite a long time on their policy and advocacy team. And then I also worked for Councilmember Mike O'Brien in the city of Redmond, so I understand the legislation and process parts. And I came to the organization to build our policy and advocacy side, and then moved into the executive director role in 2022.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank
really
you.
great. Okay, so what other things have I missed that folks might want to know about you and your organization?
Yeah, we host really fun events. You know, we do our classes, they're really great, but we also host our annual Open Streets Festival, where we show the power of turning streets into being pedestrianized places for people. And we are excited this year to be hosting 2. So we've hosted our one in downtown Redmond for the past 3 years. It's an amazing community event. We have over 40 vendors that come out. We have free yoga classes and Zumba classes on the street. And then we also have, you know, Redmond Library comes and does a kids story time hour and live music performances.
That's great.
And so it's this really great opportunity to show people the joy and the fun of getting around by walking and biking and taking transit, and how our community can feel really connected when we come together and utilize our streets. You know, the majority of our public places in our cities are our streets. If you look at all the public property, our streets is where we have the most public space. And so what if we take a little bit of that space and make it a place for people to hang out and to be and to connect? And so we have 2 of those. The Overlake Village event is brand new. It'll be on June 22nd, which is a Saturday, and it'll be right in front of the brand new Astera Park. If you haven't checked that out, it's an amazing space. And then we'll have the Downtown Redmond one, again, right around Downtown Redmond Park on August 17th.
Awesome. And all of that information is going to be available on the Downtown Redmond community website, so you can look for it there. And yeah, they're going to post a lot of their events, so that will be really great. And you know, one thing that just as you were talking that I really started thinking about was, as a real estate agent, I spend a lot of time in my car driving to different communities, driving to houses. But where you really get to learn about a community is when you walk.
Yes.
That's when I can kind of see what's going on. What is that little shop that I've never noticed before as I'm driving by? You know, what about that restaurant? If I just get out of my car and kind of wander, I can really find a lot of cool stuff. So thank you. That's really neat. Okay, now to wrap up, I want to know, tell me about your favorite place to eat in Redmond, because you are right in the thick of things downtown by City Hall and by you know, so many things. So where do you like to go?
Okay, my go-to is Ubatuba. They're a Mexican restaurant that has just delicious burritos and really fresh salsa, and I love it. Can't get enough.
Awesome. Okay, and how about, especially since you spend a lot of time advocating for activities outdoor and getting out and walking, what about, where do you like to walk, or what trails do you like to kind of get out and get on?
You know, it's no surprise that the Sammamish River Trail is the place to go. I love my new favorite kind of ride when it's the summer is to do kind of the northern loop of Lake Washington, which you can do almost exclusively on trails. So you can connect out through the Redmond Central Connector and connect up to the East Trail, and then go from the East Trail all around through the Burke-Gilman, around through Seattle, and come over across 520, and then come back through the 520 trail and do a pretty amazing long bike ride around Lake Washington. And it's remarkably flat for that long of a bike ride in this region.
Yes,
you don't get too many flat bike rides, but that one is super fun. And so it's just starting right on from the Redmond Central Connector, and then you'll have to pop off for a little phase on Willows Road, and then you can get back onto the East Trail. But it's a great route.
Now, can people come and just stop by your office, or should they just check you out online?
We do have some folks drop by. We are a hybrid workplace, like many folks. That is one of our commute to production strategies is hybrid workplaces. So if we're around, if you see our staff in the office, feel free to knock on our door and come and say hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, it was great talking to you, Kelly. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And come back again for another episode of Redmond and Beyond.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.